guys. So I am back from Mexico. I thought I would have so much more video when I was in Mexico, but I think it was such a beach vacation and I'm not used to that. I'm not a person that usually sits at the beach, but because there was so much sand and salt, my watch isn't working. I think some sand or salt got into or something. So I kind of thought, ooh, I should probably be a bit more careful with my phone. And we were so busy. There was just so much going on. It was constant on the go. So it's just not as easy as I thought it would be to just stop and do videos. But I'm glad I'm back. Going on vacations, I think, are hugely important. I think it's good to get a break from life, and it helps you actually appreciate the life you have too. We did have fun. We really did enjoy it, but it's nice to come home. And we moved to this house in April. It'll be 2 years. This was our home that we downsized to, which I'll give you guys a walkthrough so you can kind of get an idea. I'm actually in the basement. It's the upper level is all developed. We're in a bungalow, but our daughter's still living with us, which is totally fine. But we're kind of short one bedroom, so I've kind of got this nice little space down here. I've got this behind me, and it's actually kind of nice. It gives me a little bit of space to myself until we develop down here or whatever we decide to do, or my daughter decides to move out. She probably will at some point. She's 24 now, so she's our last baby. I don't mind her being here a bit longer because when she's gone, then don't have any more kids at home, which will be a whole new thing. Empty nester completely. But yeah, I just wanted to just hop on here because I think a topic that comes up a lot is how do you go through the grieving process or just the whole time of your parents getting sick, of them passing away. How are you going to feel? How are you going to make it through it? How are you going to feel on the other side? Does it get any easier? And we unfortunately lost all four parents before any of our friends did. It was a really, really hard time. We first lost our father-in-law, my father-in-law. He ended up having, so when I was younger, he had an aneurysm in his heart, and he had open heart surgery, and he had like a valve put in. And we always thought that would be the kind of thing that would take him home, so to speak. That's what I'm going to call it. He went home. But it ended up being cancer, bone cancer through his body. So once that was diagnosed, it was just a couple of months and he went home. I think if I say he went home, it makes me feel less sad. And then, so he was the first that we lost, and probably the most stressful. There was a huge funeral. The kids were young. And then, like, not super young. They were, I think, like the three kids, they were like maybe like 7, 11, and 14, somewhere around there. So old enough to know. And that was the beginning of that stage of things changing. So for a couple of years, my mother-in-law was doing fine. She had type 2 diabetes, but she was fine. She was kind of managing, and she was going down to Phoenix. I guess it was probably about 10 years. So he went first. And there was some space in there before the next one of our parents passed. But then the next one was actually my dad, who was probably the one that we thought would. No, it wasn't. Sorry. It's funny how your memory gets mixed up. They were very close to each other. It was my mom. Sorry. I should know this. It's funny, like my mom and my dad passed fairly closely, so sometimes I think my mind just kind of goes shh. But so my mom had ovarian cancer, and she had it for about 7.5 years, which is amazing. So we knew that was coming at some point, and but she was such a trooper. My dad, see, this is why I thought my dad passed, because I actually kind of, like, in a way, lost my dad. My dad developed Alzheimer's and dementia together, and I kind of lost my dad mentally years before he passed away physically. So I felt like he was kind of already gone in some ways. But my mom was very with it until the end. And then she was going through all the chemotherapy and everything like that. And then there was a time where she started turning really yellow. And I think it was her, I'm trying to remember all the details. I think her liver was giving out. And if I'm not quite right, that's okay. It's just hard to remember everything. But she went and they put a stent in. I think it was her liver. And then that was supposed to help. But I think it just kind of opened everything up, and she passed away like the next day. So, but that was coming. And she was 76. So not really that old. Considering my two grandmas lived until the late 90s, I thought my mom would be around for a lot longer. Whew. It actually does get easier. I don't talk about it a lot, but Sorry. So my dad, by this time, he was living in a home, like a fully assisted, locked home, because he was doing all kinds of strange things. Like he just didn't know who he was. He didn't know who I was. So he needed to be in somewhere where they could give him 24/7 support. And then he passed away like within the year, after my mom just of Alzheimer's and dementia. And that's a whole path unto itself, which maybe we'll talk about in another video. That's probably too heavy today. And then the last one was my mother-in-law, and she passed of essentially her diabetes. Just kind of, even though she had it and was in a home, she still really didn't take the best care of herself, and she passed away. She was also 76. My dad was actually 80. He was turning 81, so I felt like that was at least a better age, if there is a better age. I always hope for longevity for all of us, but as you can see, when I'm talking about it, it's not the easiest thing, but you do get better. Trust me. I remember going through it, and it's just like, you got to breathe. Listen to things that help you, meditations, whatever you need that will help ground you in the moment and just ground you that you're okay. Because it's a heavy time. You have to go through it. There's no way around it. And I think that too many people, myself included, try to avoid it. Avoid grief is what I'm talking about, and stress. And sometimes the healing comes quicker if you can just kind of name it, acknowledge it, and then it allows it to pass, and you can put it in a box and put it away. And you don't have to revisit it unless you choose to. So I chose to today, but this part of my life lives in a box, and it goes on a shelf, and I don't think about it anymore unless I decide it's coming off the shelf and I'm going to talk about it. So, but life gets better. It really does. In the beginning, I remember like thinking I saw people that resembled my family that had passed, and that was hard. But I remember feeling a bit angry, and that's also part of the grieving process of like, why did my mom go so soon? Why wasn't she still here? Things like that. But you do get better. And one of the things that I started doing, because I was listening to meditations and stuff, I started creating meditations, and I became a meditation teacher. But there's a slight difference to mine. I don't really like the heavy duty meditation. Like, I like more of a light faith-based one. So I do, because I go to church, and meditation sometimes, in my own opinion, can be very Eastern. Is that what I want to say it the right way? I'm not trying to offend anybody, but like everything's kind of the third eye, the chakra, which is fine. That's not for me. I prefer to do more of a meditation that it's almost Bible-based and just more faith-based. And instead of like relying on myself to get better, I just rely on faith and on God to help me feel better. So I thought there wasn't a ton of them out there, and I started creating some. And I became a meditation teacher on an app called Insight Timer, which is the third biggest app now. It's like Headspace, I think, is another one, and Calm. Is that right? I think Calm is another app. But Insight Timer is another really big app, and I'm on there as a Christian meditation teacher. So that's really cool. I've been trying to start adding them onto YouTube and a podcast just so that other people can listen. So I think I have someone here, I'm pretty sure, on this channel. I did some before, and I need to add some more. I should add some more on here, because I wasn't sure if people really wanted them, but I seem to be getting asked for more of it. So it's kind of a private thing too, right? Because I talk about my faith in these Christian meditations. But yeah, I've been doing quite well with it. So if that's something you're interested in, check out my podcast on here, or you can find me on Insight Timer as well. You can look under Lisamaslyk or Hope and Daisies. My name is Lisamaslyk, but my tag is Hope and Daisies, and I'm on Insight Timer as that. There's lots of free stuff on there. But yeah, so back to that for a second. Exercise. So feeling your feelings, journaling. I did a lot of journaling. I did a lot of writing. Writing things, how you feel, helps you feel your feelings and get rid of them. It's a way to get them out of you. Exercise, it can be just walking. I'm not talking, you don't have to go to the gym. I just started going back to the gym, but that's a whole other thing. Just walking, doing whatever makes you happy. And then just allowing yourself to be free from the grief and just kind of go, okay, this time it will pass. I'm I promise you it will pass. And I'm not saying it doesn't mean you don't love them. It's just, it's okay to move past that, and you will, and life will get better. The sun will come out, and you'll feel happier again. So I hope this has helped somebody somewhere, because it is not the easiest thing to go through. And a lot of friends and neighbors and people we know are going through a lot of this right now, because we lost ours so early. It was insane, but a lot of people are going through it now. So reach out. If you have comments, I'm happy to respond to all of them. I just wanted to share my stories so that you would know you'll be okay too. And if you want me to give you any more information about Insight Timer or meditations or anything, let me know, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for hanging out with me today.